Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Collision Refinish and Repair stage at SEMA 2025. My name is Jason Black, and I'm with iCar. And today with me for the presentation, we have Matt Denny with Dynabrade. So, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Dynabrade and kind of what your presentation is going to be about?
Well, I was lucky enough about 21 years ago to be picked up by Dynabrade and was in part of the industrial sector for about 17 years. And then what I was doing is from there, I saw an opportunity to go into the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I've been for the last 4 years on an automotive refinish.
Right. No, awesome. So what's our presentation about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the finishing systems that Dynabrade can help you out with in your shop. And what we're looking at is we come out with a new polisher. We've determined that there's a lot of different types of tools, and we took the best of what they have produced and tried to come up with one tool for multiple type of tool applications, but also pair it up with a finishing system to make it easier for a shop. We've determined that it seems to be a bottleneck area in the finishing department, and we want to make it easier for the technician to get to optimum finish.
Well, and I will say, and I've said this for years, when I taught at school as an instructor, the most underrated area in that shop is your detail and finishing area.
Absolutely.
It's people think, oh, this is easy, you're just cleaning cars, no, there's a lot of technology that is in that. And you think about it, in many cases, the car starts in the wash bay, right? It should be clean before it comes in. Who's the last people to touch that car, right?
Exactly.
And so it's every step of the way in a body shop, the next person checks the other person, right? So if I'm a body repairman and I repaired a dent, it goes to the painter. If it's not right, then he's going to, hey, we need to do this. And not to say not right, but if we need to adjust a little bit, well, that detail person's the same one, at the very end. That's the person's got to kind of check everything. And products like you're showing us and what Dynabrade is working on, if that can streamline that process and if that can make that process easier, better, more efficient, then that's bottom line money, right?
Exactly, and we're looking at it. It seems to be a bottleneck area because you're handing somebody fairly inexperienced with a tool that can do damage to the paint that was just created on that panel you're working on. So if you can actually come up with a system that makes it a little safer for the technician, but still is a time savings and it's cost savings even on material, but the most expensive thing in these shops is labor. So why not reduce that labor, reduce that rework? If you can get a technician dialed in with a system that includes a tool and the finishing system that works all together, it's a win-win. It makes everybody, a good finisher can make a bad paint job look great.
And vice versa, right?
Exactly.
So you want to dig into your PowerPoint here, your slides?
Yeah, love to. So myself is Matthew Denny. I've been, again, with Dynabrade for over 21 years. Again, most of my experience came in the industrial aerospace sector. From there, I've transferred a lot of knowledge into finishing, and I figured auto finishing was my path to that. I took detailing courses, and with those detailing courses, it educated me to see things outside the box. Really came in handy. Detailing and body shops are not the same, but they kind of have the same technology of what to do. Most body shops don't like the detailing because of the products that they use. We don't want to cost fish eyes in those finishes. So again, taking the experience and applying it in the shop. We have a great team at Dynabrade. We're located in Clarence, New York. Refinishing team is, we got over 33 sales agents out in the field that can actually help you with your process. Mm-hmm. So a great team to be able to ask and be shown a solution finish. And the DBA is the tool that we actually incorporated. That's the tool that's sitting in front of us. This tool was a voice-to-customer tool. What we did is we took the best of what was already out there, took those great features and benefit, mm-hmm. and then we listened to the technician of what they were asking for. So a lot of this tool incorporated that.
Okay. Well, are you ready to take a look at it now, or?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. First off, one of the things when we were looking at this tool is it's available as a 5-inch. but it also has a 6-inch pad when you buy the tool. So if you're not comfortable using 5-inch, you can go to actually the 6-inch pad. It's really hard for a guy that's using an 8-inch pad to all of a sudden go to a smaller pad, so we're trying to make it as easy as possible. So with that, even though it's a 5-inch pad that comes with the tool, know that you have a 6-inch backup pad in there as well. One of the things that we're looking at is we're looking at the profile of the actual tool. One of the things, if you look at some of the other polishers that are out there, they have a tendency in this type of action that we have here, which is a forced action tool, which cuts like a rotary and finishes like a DA, so it's 2 tools in one. A rotary has a tendency to be tall, and some of the other tools have opportunities. Some of them are actually a little too tall, causes a little bit of what's called a wobble, so you can get an inconsistent finish. So what we try to do is lower that profile to reduce the run out of a finish. So you're getting more of a consistent finish without the defects. So that's the reason why you see a lower profile on the duckbill. But also even just the design of the tool itself, it's more sleek, longer handle. So if you look at the handle and how big my hands are compared to it, when I wrap it around, you can see it now fits my hand, but if you had smaller hands, it's still comfortable as you're using the tool. So the handle was designed at a certain angle, so when this tool, if you look on the top, we have what looks like these little rubber, we call them like kickstands. This is what's going to hold the tool in the resting position as I turn it upside down. And it keeps it from wobbling. So some of the other tools that are out there, you put it upside down in a resting position. When you got a pad on there, if it falls over, it's going to pick up contaminants, and those contaminants are going to go into your finish if you allow it to. So that was some of the things that were spoken to us, that they wanted something that was sturdy when it was in the resting position. Also in the resting position, I'm going to turn it at the angle a little bit. You can see how this angle is on the actual handle. With that angle it allows me to put my hand underneath, easy, to be able to pick up the tool. So again, a request by the technicians. Wanted to be easy, accessible, not tip over. One of the features that we really, really like about this tool, and we get it from the technicians, is actually there's a ball swivel on the cord, so we're not fighting that cord. So when you're wrapping the cord around your shoulder, you're not fighting the cord as you're using the tool itself. So easy accessibility. Also in the brush, you can see this brush net here. So we have brushes that come with the unit as well. So you get 2 sets of brushes. So what we're trying to do is when you buy the tool, you have the ability to repair it when it goes down, when the brushes have been used. Also, again, available in the 5 and 6-inch configuration. The reason we were talking about that earlier, about the 8-inch pad and going down to a 6-inch, but there's also those contours that we're starting to see in the body shapes of the OEM trucks. It reminds me of the 50s. Those body lines, they're starting to get concaves, and trying to finish and not burn those paints or those repairs is critical. So what you can do when you have, this is a 5-inch that's on there, you can actually put a 6-inch pad on there and you can roll it in those areas. So you can actually finish and without burning the paint. So features and benefits of the tool, again, was designed by Dynabrade using what everybody else has out there. We took it and capitalized on it, but we also listened to the voice of the customer. Now, when I was talking about 2 tools in one, that's going to be the action of the tool. If I start twisting this, it's like a forced action, okay? It's not a random orbit action, it's a forced action. Like a rotary, it's going in a singular motion. This is going in a singular motion, but it has these little bumps, the epicycle type of motion. What that's doing is it's cutting like a rotary, about 50% less efficient, but it's about 150% faster on the finishing side. So that's, I kind of try to tell people, yes, will you cut faster with a rotary? Absolutely. But what you're doing with this tool is you're cutting like a rotary and finishing like a DA, so you don't have to take that second step to remove those rotary scratches.
And that's also going to have less chance of burn through, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What I like about this tool, it doesn't create a lot of heat. So, solvent pop is an issue if you heat up the panel too much. So it allows a beginner technician to be able to get in there and actually work the tool, work the compound, work the system, and get a finish. And we don't just hand it to them. We actually show them how to use it. We want you comfortable with the tool before you purchase it.
One of the first things come to my mind with this is plastic parts, plastic bumpers. Talking about burning through and ripping it. The plastic parts heat up so much quicker, especially if you're using a foam pad with that rotary buffer. I could see with this kind of, sounds like it's in between a rotary and an orbit, right? So you're right there in the center. And so I could see where this would be a very beneficial for stuff like that, to keep that heat down. And, throughout, it's funny, heat is the common thing we talk about. It seems like every time we're on stage here, whether somebody's welding, trying to keep heat down, heat is our enemy, right?
Correct.
And so this is just another way to keep heat down when on the finishing side.
Correct. And like I said, when we're working with, even with our system on the wool pad, our wool pad is cutting, but it's finishing at the same time. People are looking at when they actually use our system and they use that wool pad, they would normally see a lot of haze. And when that haze is not there, but those sandy scratches are gone, it's a win-win. That means that next step for finishing, you may be able to do a one step like in metallics, but if you're doing like a solid color, we would definitely recommend taking a two-step.
Yeah, and do we want to get back to the PowerPoint?
Yes.
So this is what this is called, right? This is the DB8E geared dual action polisher. Want to make sure that everybody that's got this, they know it, right?
Correct. Yeah, DB8, again, forced or geared action. Okay. So no matter what speed you're running on, you run it at 1, or if you're running at number 6, you're getting the same action. This pad will not stall. You can stand on this thing and it's going to give you the same action, which is critical because when you got different body lines, you want consistent finish throughout the actual polishing process. So we have a little video here of highlighting basically the DB8. Okay, as you see here, this is actually at the Boeing Air Museum in Seattle, and this is actually polishing aluminum. So we're actually cutting and polishing with this tool, and we're getting a mirror finish off of it. And this is a World War II plane.
Wow.
And there's about $250 million worth of planes that we are actually working on with this polisher. A lot of these individuals you see here working with it were part of the voice of customer. They helped us design the tool based on what they are always working on.
That's pretty impressive. There's nothing. There's some things that I don't like to do, but in polishing aluminum is one of those things I really, really don't like to do. It's, I mean, the entire everything gets black, and that is not a fun job.
Yeah, dialing in the recipe is a little bit of a challenge. This group, which is called the Detail Mafia, does actually an absolutely fantastic job.
It looks like it. I'm looking at what they're doing here, and it looks amazing. And something I see here that I like is the PPE they're using too.
Absolutely. You're dealing with especially older metals. You don't know what type of byproducts are in there. You don't know what type of fallout is on it. So you definitely need to use PPE. Not only that, even with the compounds, you don't want to breathe those particles.
Right.
Again, over at the Air Force One project. This is what we call the Air Force One project. This is being used on one of the DB8 in our booth, and it was actually a very beautiful 64 Volkswagen, but you can see we're using an orange pad in this one, not a wool pad. This is a final step on a beautiful black paint job by Jason Stratton Motorsports. This is last year when we had a Porsche. We're trying to show that you can even take a 5-inch polisher like this and have control and be able to get in those tight spots that you normally sometimes would bring like a 3-inch polisher. You can do a lot with 5-inch. And now we have a little video here of the compound system. We have a water-based compound that's 0 fillers, and this is the key, body shop safe. You don't have to worry about polishing a vehicle and then getting that fugitive dust or fugitive chemical going inside your spray booth, and those are fish eyes. We do not want to create that. So it's body shop safe system. So we have a system that's numbered and color coordinated as well. If you look, you see some blue color, you see some orange, and you see some red. And we have pads or foam pads that coordinate with those systems.
So it's really easy to know which pad you're using with which compound. That's
Correct.
good. Now, I want to back up just a minute here. You said a word that's a key word to me, other than, yes, definitely body shop safe. We've got to have that. But when I was teaching, when I would get into the detail section, students sometimes had a hard time understanding the benefit of no fillers, right? And that's why I try to explain. If you have a compound with fillers in it, you're just masking it. It's going to wash out. It'll look good now, but maybe a week later, if it has fillers, then those fillers are going to go away typically, right?
Correct. Yeah, they will. And it's an older technology. It was good when we were, growing up through the industry. Back in the day, we both were sitting there, we're polishing with those systems, so that's what was available. When I say newer technology, it's about 10 years old. A lot of it came out of Europe, and they dialed it in, which is really nice. And the way you need to think about this as liquid sandpaper. Mm-hmm. If you think of it as liquid sandpaper, it's a diminishing compound, which means like if I got 100 grit sandpaper, as I'm using it, it's getting finer and finer. Same thing here. The mineral that's in there is going and attacking a particular scratch, but it's also getting finer and finer for finishing.
And that's what I would always tell my students. Same thing. I'm glad you said that. I would say, don't think of a swirl mark as a swirl mark. Think of it as a sand scratch, because in reality, that's what it is. You're stepping it down. Whatever system you're using, you're typically stepping down. This grit to that grit to this grit to the first compound. Things of that nature. I know there's different systems, so I'm being very generic with that, right? But regardless of the system, you're getting out the imperfection and working it away to a beautiful finish. And that takes a little step or two, right?
Absolutely. And we have to think about it this. When you see a scratch, that's a peak that's reflecting the light. So that's a scratch that's pretty big that you want to remove and flatten it out so you don't see it. You want to feel when you look at that paint like you're falling into the paint. You want depth. You want to see the benefit of what you invested into that paint system. And that paint system will really, really shine. We all want shine, but it's the depth and clarity that's extremely important.
Well, it is in a situation, like I know you guys, you got a lot of pictures of custom work and things like that, but you also have to look at, in the collision industry, we may not need that kind of depth, though. So we want speed and we want quality. So we're trying to match factory finishes. And not all factory finishes are equal, right?
No, not at all.
So I think this will work with that, too. So it's about getting the finish that you desire and need at the quickest and most efficient way possible.
Right, and a lot of our technicians that came through the schools and stuff, they were learning how to block, sand, get it all flat. That's not, that's great for custom work. But when you're, like you said, when you're dealing with OEM, we're trying to match OEM orange bill. So now we have to come up with a system that will do that. We can do that with this polisher very easily. We can use a foam product, 1,500, jump up a 2,000 or 2,500, and then come back with a compound and then level out those sanding scratches and match the OEM. We're denibbing, and we're knocking off the high peaks of that orange peel.
Well, I won't keep you much more. Go through your compounds there. I apologize. I got a little bit off here.
Yep, no issues. Again, we have a system that's 0, 1, and 2, and the quick is actually geared towards more the detailing industry. You do not have to follow each step to get the finish. You can get the finish with just one compound. A lot of insurance shops, a lot of work for insurance companies, are using the Dyna 1 with a wool pad, and it's basically a one-step. on metallics, which this day it's about 70% of the marketplace. The 30% of the solid colors. Now, solid is coming back more. When you're dealing with solid colors, you kind of want to take that extra step to get that so you're not seeing any swirls or from the actual wool pad, and that's where the Dyna 2 would come in with a foam pad. Again, we tried to match up even the microfibers as well, so you're not mixing the microfibers or putting scratches in.
Coming from an educational side, I love that. Make it easy. Don't make it complicated. Just color to color.
Correct. You simplify the system. And again, more pictures. Again, it's not just for painted surfaces, it's for metal surfaces as well. We're just trying to show you the versatility of the system, what the tool can do. It can do a lot for you. Again, profile, we're trying to show you the lower profile, less run out. This is actually Air Force One. This is the first Air Force One that was the one that was painted blue. It was John F. Kennedy's Air Force One. There's a lot of respect for this particular plane. So we're very particular when we actually work on something like that. So that's a finish, even though it's doing that, the finish we still are concerned when we're dealing it in a body shop. We want to show you, if it's working on this, it could work for your body shop as well.
I'm going to lose sleep at night just think about polishing a plane.
Oh yeah. It's something else being able to work on that plane. So, Dynabrade, what we like to say, the perfect finish begins and ends with Dynabrade.
Well, it looks like we're right at the end of our time. So I want to thank you for coming out and sharing your knowledge, your product, and your expertise. So I appreciate you being on our stage today.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.